Let's talk about some of the NBA players that you have coached here. Is there one that stands out that kind of surprised you, has made it into the league and been successful, or changed a little bit since you've been here?
If I say Rondo, everybody's going to go, well, he was a good player. But in coming out of Louisville Eastern and transferring to Oak Hill, he honestly was not a top 100 player. And then in the fall, as he got here and he started to, evolve into the player that he is, and he was never a great shooter, but he had long arms, big hands. He was a great defender. He could get to wherever he wanted to on the floor with the ball without having to. You have to guard him eventually. I mean, I know sometimes when a guy can't shoot, you just back up. But Rajon would get to the rim eventually. He was so good at doing that. And he went from I remember when he was a senior, going to be a senior, he was ranked about 115, 100, somewhere in there, most scouting services. Not in the top 10 point guards at all.
Right.
And I had a kid from Florida that wanted to come here, Dwayne Washington, who went, I don't know if you remember him, went to Memphis. Good player. He was a lot McDonald's All-American and all that. And he was rated like the second place point guard in the country. But I told Rajon in April that I was taking him. So I remember that he couldn't believe I wasn't going to take him. He kept calling me. His dad kept calling me. What do you mean you're not taking my son? He's top 5 in the country. I don't know. Well, I promised this kid I'm taking him, and I'm sticking to my commitment. And then Rajon went from that to where his team goes undefeated.
Right.
He gets all that exposure. We travel. Everybody sees him. He makes the McDonald's game. And then in the game, that kid was in the game with him. Rajon was the best guard in the game. And at that point, you could still come out. It was the last year you could come out. And we had pro scouts at every game because we had Josh Smith. And everybody was recruiting Josh because they knew he wasn't going to go to college. I mean, they just figured they had to come watch him because they may draft him. And to a scout, every one of them told me, he goes, your best pro prospect is Rajon, not Josh. But they knew he wasn't coming out.
Right.
And 2 years later, he goes, and he was okay at Kentucky. He wasn't like,
right.
When he went into the league, it was almost like, I'm going into the league because I'm tired of playing in college, not because I'm ready to go.
Right.
So people weren't sure. And then 2 years later, he wins an NBA championship, and he's a starting point guard. And yes, he had Paul Pierce and Garnett and Ray Allen, but they're not winning without him either.
Right, and you can see that now because he's really been the one that's driven the team, especially now. Like the numbers he's put up this year are incredible. Right now in the NBA, he has 5 triple-doubles.
Yeah.
The closest one to him has 1.
Yeah.
And he just the other night he played against the Miami Heat. I don't know if you saw the game, but he lit him up. I mean, he lit him up. So that's one thing. When I was here, I had a friend whose father was a coach at LSU, and he came and watched the game, and he said, that Rondo kid, man, I know all the hype was around Josh Smith at the time because he was such a tremendous athlete, especially when he was here. But Rondo kind of seemed more of a pro prospect to him, and at the time I was kind of like, oh, you just kind of surrounded around the hype of Josh Smith. But if you look at it now, I mean, you can make that comparison. They're both great pros.
Yeah.